If you were no longer affected by the judgment of others and you stopped judging yourself, would you make different choices? Why make choices in your life based on judgments instead of on your awareness of what would create the life and living you desire? Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of Inspired Choices Radio Show, Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on A2Zen.fm.
Good evening. Hello. Welcome. Howdy. How are you doing? You know tonight is the night. It's time for the Inspired Choices Radio Show, and I am your host, Christine McIver. Tonight we are going to be talking about you are not behind. And what the heck does that mean? Listen, there's so much going on in my world, and I totally get that when there's stuff popping up in my world that I'm really aware of what's going on with a lot of other people out there too. So if this title or any of this show starts to ring for you, please know you are not alone, and how much of this show is actually you picking up of other people's stuff. So we're going to get into all of that. So I am your host, Christine McIver, and I am the creator of Inspired Choices Radio, and some new creations I'm just so excited to tell you about, but I can't yet. Oh, my God, and I'm not just trying to tease you. It's driving me crazy not being able to tell you. So pretty soon, we'll be telling you all about some new creations. So I wanted to just let you know a little bit about me. If you've never listened to any of my shows before, maybe you have, and maybe a reminder would be in order. I am among many things, I'm a possibilities coach. And what does that exactly mean? It means that I know that there are no limitations. I know that there are no glass ceilings. I absolutely, positively know that whatever stops you is a lie, because there's not any real stops. I know that there absolutely are possibilities always available to us when something is not working for us. I absolutely know that any time we're desiring more, just that twinge of, I want something greater, I know something else is possible, just that knowing tells me absolutely, positively, there definitely is more possible. So as a possibilities coach, what I do is I work with individuals and groups, organizations, companies of all sizes to really have them step into uncovering where those possibilities lie, where they're hidden, and what's actually stopping them from having and receiving more of the possibilities. Sometimes I'm working with people, it can be all ages, of people that, they have some kind of limitation. They may be judging themselves. They might be in some depression. They may even be suicidal. They may be desiring to change a relationship, perhaps a marriage, and they know that something else is possible. They may be someone who's thinking of starting a business, or their business is just kind of waning and it's not shifting. It really, the stage or the area of life, interestingly enough, doesn't matter. When I first started coaching, I was told I needed to focus on a niche. Well, guess what my niche is? Opening up possibilities. It's not one specific area, because what I have found over the years is that the tools are applicable. The tools that I have gathered and I have in my really large tool shed, they are the same tools that can be applied to create results in all areas of our lives. So I am a possibilities coach. I am also an Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator. I'm a professionally trained coach with the Coaches Training Institute, CTI. I'm a human resources professional. I've worked in human resources for greater than 20 years. I'm also a energy healer. I'm a radio show host, producer, and the owner of this radio station. As well, I build websites, and I play in all sorts of different areas. Some of the areas I love to get very specific in some of the programs I've created. One of my very favorite ones is Beyond the BS Business Studies. So it's really working with individuals with their businesses and really shifting all of the lies, really diving in deeply to all the lies around business and what we need to do to become more visible, more present, and expand our businesses in whatever area you desire to expand it in. That's one of my very favorite studies that I've created. I also have a program called Divorce with Dignity. There's a lot of people in the world that, we all know greater than 50% of marriages do not last. In fact, all relationships come to a conclusion at some point, whether it's through death or through choice or just change. And when we can move through those relationships with dignity and honor and regard for each other, we can have the joy in our lives without it having to be insanity and anger and creating more disease in our bodies and in our lives. So this program actually was birthed out of my insane divorces. So, I don't always have to be the catalyst to create, but in this case, I definitely was. And then one of my other favorite programs that I've created is called Be the Dominatrix of Your Life. And this is where I work one-on-one with an individual to really have them step into, lean into demanding more for themselves, for their life, for all of the areas where they absolutely know what they've been creating is not true and real and can be changed. So if any of those pop, I would love for you to connect with me. My website has all this information, Christine, at inspiredchoices.ca. I also am a facilitator, as I mentioned, with Access Consciousness, and I facilitate one of the classes I facilitate is the Foundation. And my next Foundation class is coming up in the middle of August in Kitchener, Ontario, August the 19th through the 22nd. You can get all of that information both on the Access Consciousness website, accessconsciousness.com, or through my website, inspiredchoices.ca. I'm also looking to travel and to bring the Foundation class where you are. So if that's something that you would love to consider hosting me in your community, in your town, please connect with me and let me know, because I love to travel and I love to create greater, because these classes, these Foundation classes, they're the classes that honestly created the greatest movement forward to changing at the speed of space. I'm telling you, it was absolutely phenomenal. Taken a lot of classes, but the Foundation was off the chain. So there you have it. There's a bit about me and what I'm creating in the world, and falls right into You Are Not Behind. So tonight's show, You Are Not Behind. Do you ever say, how will I ever catch up? How does everyone else do it? Why did I even start this? I'll never be caught up. I just can't seem to ever make it. If you have ever had any of these thoughts or judgments creep into your mind, whispering insecurities into your life, then this show just might be something for you. You're going to be surprised how we miss the subtleties in our life, the subtleties of judgment, and equally how easy it can be for us to move forward to the ease of our lives. So if you've never joined us in the chat room, I would love to invite you in there. You just go to adazen.fm and click on the menu bar, the chat room, and type in any name and come play with us in there. Your contributions in the chat room are always fantastic and really assist in all of our hosts creating amazing content that you all are desiring. So if you have any questions and you'd like to post them in the chat room, I would love to hear from you. So let's talk about this. You are not behind. How many of us have a target, or we have a goal, or we see what someone else is doing and creating out there, and we see what they're doing, and they're like, oh my God, I would love to be doing that, right? So how, has anybody out there ever said, oh, I would love to be a speaker on a stage, or I would love to be an author. I'd love to have my own books. Have you ever walked through a bookstore and seen all of these amazing books and go, oh my God, am I ever going to have my book on that shelf? Am I ever going to be the author? And we think, okay. All right, I've really got to buckle down. I've really got to focus. How am I ever going to get there, right? And then we start looking around and we start asking people, what did you do to get there? Or how are you doing it? Or how did you get hired? Or how did you meet that person? Or how did you get your book going? Or how did you learn to do all of that? And then they start giving you their to-do list, or their how-to list rather, right? And they start giving this long list of all of the steps that they took. And before you know it, you're writing down frantically and you're like, oh my God. And what was exciting suddenly becomes like this, oh my God, I'm going to puke energy. Like, oh, I am never going to be able to make it. Oh my God, you have to do all of that? I'm never going to catch up. I'm never going to be there. Oh my God. So everything that's bringing up for everyone right now, would we like to destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot all nine shorts, boys and beyond. Just check in, everyone, around the energy of listening to someone else tell you how they did it, right? And it's kind of like, okay, this is how I walk this path. So you have to follow my path exactly if you want to get there. Well, is that actually true? Do we actually have to follow somebody else's path and do it the way they did it in order to create it for us? No, we don't. Now, what I used to do, like many of us, I would buy all these programs and I would go to all of these classes and I would be like, I'd be looking outside of me for the answer, and I would be looking at what they would be doing, and then as I would start to get excited, right, I'm like, okay, this is possible because I see somebody else is doing it. This is possible. And then I would start to, and I really didn't realize I was doing this, but I would start to fall in line with their pattern, with their path. And then I would immediately go into, oh God, like this energy of shit. And how am I ever going to be able to do this? Because I was trying to fit me and my life into them and their life and how they did it. And it's so quick that it can move from this excitement of possibility into the, oh God, I have to do it this way. And it immediately goes from this big expansiveness down into a very quick, solid contraction. And the minute we do that, at least this has been the way it's been for me, the minute that we start to do that, that I've started to do that, then I started to go into this judgment like, oh, see what they did? See how easy it was? Man, there must be something wrong with me that I didn't think of that. Why didn't I do that? Like, I know that. Have you ever even done this thing? Like, oh, I know that. Why haven't I been doing that? I must really, there must be something wrong with me. Oh my God, look at, there I am again. I'm behind. Oh, now I have to run twice as fast. Oh my God, right? And this whole thing of like, what I went to choose was exciting suddenly becomes this huge, boulder on my back of something that I have to carry to try to move towards what was once exciting. And then I start to get exhausted and want to fall asleep. So if you've ever done that, if you've ever experienced all of that, I just want to invite you to stay on the line. We're going to go for a quick break, but stay on the line because we're going to start to look at that really quick subtlety of how that quickly changes and how we can start to recognize that and how we can, step up to the table of what someone is offering and really choose until it starts to change. Okay? So it's not that difficult, but it's unless you've actually started to recognize that, it can be very, very daunting. And I would love to invite you into seeing what we can do to change that. So you are listening to Inspired Choices Radio here tonight, and we are talking about you are not behind. So please stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back right after this commercial break.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show.
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago, I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions, or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255, TALK, or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us. Our Skype name is a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Hello. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining tonight and for sticking around. And we are talking about you are not behind. How many areas, places, and spaces in your life do you feel like you're behind? You're behind on your bills, you're behind on your cleaning, you're behind on your exercising, you're behind on hugging your kids, you're behind on calling your parents, you're behind on creating that project, you're behind on weeding the garden, you're behind on having sex, you're behind on eating properly, you're behind on your TV shows, you're behind on receiving, you're behind on so many areas. Do you get the energy of what a lot of marketing out there is actually it's like forcing you into choosing from the place of judgment that you're behind. Who decided the when? Who decided the how? Who decided what vehicle? Right? So in the chat room, Faith says, I can see how squeezing my energy into someone else's totally different energy hasn't worked. Exactly. When we're trying to, before we went for break, as we're trying to follow somebody else's program and squeezing ourselves into their life, into their business programs, into what works for them, as we try to squeeze ourselves in, it's like trying to squeeze yourself into a size, an outfit that's not your size. It's just not comfortable. And eventually something's going to break. It's not going to be pretty. It's either going to fall off you or it's going to bust out, right? That's the same thing in every area of your life. Like, have you ever had somebody tell you, like, you've looked at them in their relationship? Let's say that you've looked at somebody in their relationship with their mom. And they have this great relationship. Them and their mom, they're like best friends, right? They go out and they have fun and they laugh, and there's not this judgment going on. And have you ever said, hey, what's your secret? What's your secret with you and your mom's relationship? And they tell you, and what you are actually asking for is the recipe to how to do it right. So when you're not doing it the way they're doing it, and because they've got it right and you've not gotten it right, you've decided that you're behind on having what you could have. And all of that is wrapped up in judgment, in regret, in shame, in the shoulds and the why nots and all this crap. Okay, one of the biggest tools that you'll hear me talking about, and I'm using more and more even in my own life, is who does that belong to? When we came into our bodies in this time and space, and it really hasn't changed for centuries and centuries, we were sold a pattern. We were sold a process of how things are supposed to go. You're supposed to speak this way to your parents. You're supposed to learn this type of education. You're supposed to behave this way in your jobs. You're supposed to, all these supposed tos. If you want to be happy, this is what you're supposed to do. If you want to be successful, this is what you're supposed to do. Everybody has been selling you a how-to from the moment you arrived. And every time you're trying to follow somebody else's how-to, you're squeezing yourself, your life, your desires, your dreams, your joys into somebody else's program. Now, that's not to say that some programs that you follow may not work for you. But if you ever start to feel like you're, oh my God, I'm behind, oh my God, I'm not getting this right, you really want to kind of step back. And what I like to invite people into is really start to take a macro view of everything right in front of you about this. Okay, this is, you know what, this isn't fun right now. I'm feeling like I'm never going to catch up. Okay, what the hell is that, right? If you can start to ask, what is this? And for me, when I'm asking that, and I'm perceiving that with a lot of people right now, it's like this, my chest and my throat start to want to squeeze, right? So there's a contraction that begins, my body starts showing me a contraction. And I nearly have a hard time breathing right now. So everything this is bringing up for everybody, everywhere that you're tapping into all those times where you bought into this and you stayed there and you judged yourself for it, can we please pull the cart out from under it, let it just fall to the ground, break it all apart, okay? Let's destroy and uncreate all of those places and spaces. Yeah, take a deep breath. Let it go. Let it expand. Okay. All of that. Just allow yourself to let go of that. Okay. Remember, anything that's heavy is a lie. It's not true. So if you guys can really get the significance of, you know, I'm going to do a little bit of math here because my brain is not able to both speak and calculate at the same time. But I'm going to tell you that I just turned 54. Yay, me. I made it to 54. Oh, my God, because I'm pretty crazy. It's amazing that I made it this far. Anyways, I made it to 54. Yay. And so 54 years times 365 days is 19,710 days. Okay? So I just want you to kind of get this. So if my amazing producer could just maybe type some of these numbers in the chat room, I would be very, very grateful. So I've been alive for 54 years, which equates to 19,710 days. Okay. So now you multiply that by 24 hours. Okay. So that is actually 473,040 hours. Okay? Now I'm going to divide that by 2. So let's say I actually sleep 12 hours a day. I don't. But let's just say I do. That would mean I would have been awake for 236,520 hours so far in my life. Okay? 236,520 hours. Now, this is 2016, okay? And the TV has been around. I don't know, maybe one of the ladies in the chat room will know. The TV has been around for many, many years. It's definitely been around since before I was born. Marketing and judgment has been around long, long, long before the TV, okay? But even if we were just looking at like the last 54 years, and as I said, if you were awake for 12 hours a day, you'd have been awake for 236,520 hours. Now, unless you are living on an island by yourself or with very few people, you have had over 236 hours of your life where you have had the potential to receive judgment. You have had the potential of being told what was right and what was wrong. You have had the potential of that many hours of being judged around you're doing it right or you're doing it wrong, okay? And in those hours, not only have you been maybe reading it in a magazine or going to an event or a class and being told how to do it right or wrong, even watching it on TV, you know, commercials or anything like that, even if you're not in any of that place, when you're not being sold to, judged, or projected at, you're then with yourself. And what do a lot of us do, especially if you're listening to these shows, a lot of us are doing self-judgment, and we're doing what's right and what's wrong. So then we're taking many of those hours and we're figuring out, well, I'm not happy or I'm not as happy or as successful as I desire to be. And then we start to look at what am I doing wrong, right? We honestly don't focus on what we're doing right a lot of the time and what makes us happy and choose more of that. No, we're always looking for what's not working and start to try to fix it. But in order to be in the what's not working, most of the time we do it from a space of judgment. So if I'm not happy and I'm looking at, oh, what's not working? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Oftentimes I will go look at who is doing it right? Who's doing it right? Why can't I do it like that? And oh my God, now I need to go and do that. So do you guys get that how many hours of our life, first TV broadcast, Keisha, you're amazing, was in 1936. Okay, that's a whole lot of hours. Exactly. So when you are always in this space of looking at what's wrong and then looking at where's the answer, we are in our head around, oh my God, am I ever going to get it right? And sometimes it may not be really pervasive to you. It may not be shouting at you. It might be like you're out with your girlfriend and somebody says to your girlfriend, oh my God, look at you, Sue. You look great. Have you lost weight? And Sue goes, yeah, I've really been, focusing on me, and I've been just taking that time to nurture me and to go, I've been doing yoga, and I'm just in such a zen place, and oh my God, and now look at my body, and I'm so happy. Now, I would like to say that lots of us would be happy for Sue, but truth be told, most of us would be going, oh my God, I totally suck. I'm not doing that. I'm trying to do my business, and all the while I'm ignoring my body, and no wonder I'm not happy. Right? How many of you are doing that? How many of you are listening to what somebody else is choosing and then going, oh, shit, I'm behind on that too? Oh, my God, Faith, you're killing me. So Faith is in the chat room, and she just said, Sue can suck it. You know what? Sue can suck it, and how about we all suck it? Because we suck at really asking questions around what really is true for us and what really works for us. How many of us are creating or trying, it's really more the energy of trying to create our lives our business, our relationships, our money, everything, a nice garden. We're trying to create it based on how everyone else is doing it, which is having us be in the energy, whether the words are there or not, being in the energy of, I'm behind, which pulls us down deeper into that quicksand of judgment, which actually doesn't begin to change any of it. Yeah. So you got to come in the chat room. Some of this stuff is funny. Keisha says, I wonder if sucking it would actually improve some things. You know, it just might. Sometimes any action can change it. What if the sucking can actually change it? Oh, my God. Okay, so we are going to go for our next break. When we come back, we're going to start to look at when this comes up, how we can begin to change it. So please stay tuned. You are listening to Inspired Choices here on A2Zen.fm. I am your host, Christine McIver. I will be back right after this commercial break.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bar session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255, TALK, or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us. Our Skype name is A2Zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in tonight. You know, we never know where these shows are going to go and how much fun they can create. But you know what? One of the things that I do know that if you will choose to really look at whatever is sticking you, whatever stopping you, whatever is like making you unhappy or sad, and really reach out to some of the people that are seriously changing something in their lives. You know, it's not that everybody that's changing stuff isn't having challenges, but there's something in the really being willing to look at what's not working and beginning to choose it. If you will reach out to someone like that, myself, any of the hosts here on the station, anywhere, any of the hosts or facilitators rather, with accessconscious.com, a great coach, somebody who's really conscious, and you would be willing to speak with them about it, you can start to change it so fast. Because a lot of what is actually happening is it's not yours, okay? So let's back up a little bit. So we were talking about, oh my God, I'm behind, right? You're behind. You haven't got enough. You're not there yet. How are you ever going to catch up and all that? That has been in my life like so much. I mean, I'm the ninth of 10 kids. And so even like running and playing with my older siblings, how was I ever going to catch up? And then they all got married. How was I ever going to catch up? They all started to have babies. How was I going to catch up? I was always felt like I was looking forward and that I was never there. And you know what that actually had me miss? Of what was actually here now, of what I actually was present with that I was ignoring. So how much of what you are present with today are you actually ignoring that if you would actually look at it, be happy, be grateful, like just really give yourself a damn pat on the back for where you are right now, would that actually open up to having and receiving more? You know, there's so many thoughts of knowledge out there that say the same thing, that if you can be grateful, if you can really acknowledge what you have, you can receive more. Now, a lot of the times there's some really should energy in that and some judgment energy, but truthfully, if you ever were to look in the eyes of someone that you love and you just were to just really say, I'm so happy that I met you. I'm just so happy I know you. Do you know how much that relationship will actually grow? Do you know how much that relationship will actually expand and contribute back to you? It's massive. You know, it's like the little things. Do you ever look around something that you really love that you purchased and own and you're just like, oh my gosh, I so love this bed, or I absolutely love my dishes, or these clothes that I've bought, I love the way that they feel. They make me feel when I'm in them, and the way that my body loves the fabric. Do you know that when you are really acknowledging these things and really enjoying them, that you get to have more of that? Do you know that the same is true for your creations? The same is true for like earning your money. You know, in 20 years in human resources, I did payroll in most of my jobs. And when I'd be hiring people, the number one thing they wanted to know is how much am I going to make? And then they were so excited when they would get their first paycheck, and they would be so excited because usually people were receiving more in their newest job than they did in their last job, right? So they'd be so excited about it. And they would be really, really happy about it, and they'd be so grateful. And about 2 or 3 weeks into their job, I wouldn't hear from them about their payroll. I wouldn't hear from them about, you know, the money and how that maybe was changing or contributing to their lives. The next time I would hear from them, usually about their paycheck, is when I screwed up, or when there was a problem, or when, you know, that something changed and like the government was taking more taxes money off and they, you know, were getting less in their bank account. They wouldn't actually be appreciating or, you know, happy with what they'd actually chosen and created and how it was contributing. They would start to go into the what's not enough. So how much are we doing what's not enough, and we're judging it, which is not actually asking some questions. So this is the big thing, is when you are in that energy of, oh my God, I'm behind. Oh my God, how am I ever going to catch up? I'm not good enough. I'm not measuring up. Could you ask this one question? Is this really true for me? Is this really true for me? Is this really true for me? I remember talking, and I was totally in the energy of I've got to run faster, I've got to do more, I've got to be more, and talking with someone in the business, and they, you know, they did similar things to me as I did, and I kind of talked to them about this, and they're like, you know, that I'm really happy with what I'm creating, and I'm really happy with where I'm at. And I was like, you know, the head tilt dog look. And I'm like, what? How could you be happy? Because you don't have this, and you don't have this, and you don't have this. Sometimes people will say it, yes, because they're trying to excuse the fact that they don't have what they've already had. So they're trying to buy that they're happy. but I remember this one particular conversation with this one individual, and it wasn't that. It was that way they were truly, that is what worked for them. And it was like, wow, okay, that's really different. And, this has come up a number of times, and it's like I keep chipping away at it, and I'm really in an amazing space around, okay, is that true for me? And when I'm watching people creating and doing different things, I really check in on, is that true for me, that I really am beating myself up that I'm there, that I want to be there? Or is it true that where I am right now is I am in the quote-unquote baking of my life, right? I love to use baking analogies because everybody knows I love to bake. So it's like, you know what? If you are looking at what you're creating as a cake, and you're baking a cake, if you need to let some part of that cake sit so it rises, or it the flavors mix together, and you kind of go into that, and butter tarts, absolutely. If you kind of try to turn up the heat when you're baking your butter tarts, or you're baking your cake, and you try to turn up the heat so it will bake faster, is that actually going to create the greatest cake or the greatest butter tarts for you? Or is it actually going to be this really like, oh, this is undercooked, or this tastes burnt? Is it actually going to be not what it is that you actually desired because you were trying to do it too quickly, right? You're trying to do it somebody else's way. You're trying to do the catch-up game. So what if you weren't trying to catch up to anyone else, and you were really in the energy of, you know what? This is what is true for me right now. This is what is true for me. When you are not willing to look at, is this really true for me? You're going to start judging the hell out of yourself. And you're going to start putting yourself down into that quicksand of judgment again. A lot of people will also talk about divine timing, okay? And again, guys, check on that. When someone says, well, it's divine timing, check on whether that's true for you or not at that moment. Sometimes people will say that because they're trying to get you to see that your level of frustration is wrong, and they'll say, oh, it's not divine timing. And sometimes I just want to tell them to go pound salt when they say that to me. And other times, because I get that really intense energy, right? And other times, when they say it's not divine timing, I'll get the energy of that in that moment. That is true for me. So again, it's asking the question, is that true for me? Is this relevant to me? There are times when you might be behind on something because you've been doing avoidance. Okay? Check on that. Okay, so truth, am I avoiding something here? Or truth, is this my creation process? Am I in my creation process right now? Or am I avoiding something? One of my typical, and I'm so in this right now, one of my typical examples is, quote unquote, all of my accounting, okay? My business has been growing exponentially, especially ever since owning the radio station and all of the things that I have been creating with all of the different classes and workshops and programs. And yay, my business is growing, and oh crap, so is my bookkeeping, so is my accounting, so is all the paperwork. And for a very long time, it was so funny because I would be like, oh my God, it's so much work, and I would energetically and physically push the accounting away, and I was doing avoidance. I was really doing avoidance with it. And every time I would tap into it, I would be like, oh shit, I've avoided it, another month. I've avoided it another 6 months. Oh my God, this is going to be even heavier, which had me do what? It had me choose avoidance again. So divine timing or avoidance? What's true for you right now? What is really true? Is it time for you to really look at where you are not choosing to create greater, where you're actually stopping yourself and it is putting you behind what is possible? Or are you actually behind because you require more information, or you require a new skill set, or you require to hire somebody to do it, right? Look at the truth of that. When you are looking outside of yourself, this is the number one thing, guys. When you're looking outside of yourself to someone else and you are comparing yourself to someone else, I can guarantee you are abso-friggin-lutely going to find where you're behind because you're looking for it, okay? So everywhere you are comparing yourself to someone else instead of saying, hey, you know what that person's doing in that area, that's really cool. Cool, I'll have some of that, thank you. Hey, the way that person creates or the way that person is having joy, I'll have some of that too, please. And where you're willing to receive the brilliance and duplicate what they're doing in a portion of their area until it no longer works for you, that will add to you and your life and your creations. But where you're doing this comparison, it's going to stop you dead in your tracks eventually, and you'll go back into that quicksand. Okay, I can't believe how fast this show's going. Oh, my God. Okay, so we're going to go for our last commercial break. We are talking about you are not behind. That is such a friggin' lie. And everywhere you're judging yourself, let's give that up. If you missed it at the beginning of the show, please go back and really listen to all of this because there's so much in here of how we are in that area without even realizing it. And the information will, I believe, create greater for you and give you more ease and joy in what you're doing. Because for God's sakes, if we're not having joy, then why are we choosing what we're choosing? Seriously, please, people, look at that. The world needs more of your joy. Gosh, does the world need more of our joy and more of our laughter and more play. And your poor, poor bodies, oh my gosh, we lock so much of that in there. So please, please, please start to look at this very seriously. You're not behind, but what are you creating if you're not willing to look at what is heavy for you? So if you would please stay tuned. When we get back, we're going to wrap this show up. You are listening to Inspired Choices here on AtoZen.fm with your host, Christine McIver, and we'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show.
Do you know a child who is frustrated and disruptive in class? Who struggles to connect? Who's bright but still not making the grade? Have you ever wished that there were a kinder, gentler way to support children with difficulties in school or at home? Many children find access bars is benefiting them greatly. A study is being conducted to document findings in an effort to assist kids everywhere with these life-changing benefits. Will you donate and help to assist kids thrive? Visit www.accessyourbrilliance.com to support our study. What else is possible for kids now more than ever?
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255, TALK, or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us. Our Skype name is A2Zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Christine, and tonight we're talking about you are not behind. Let me ask you a question. Do your to-do list ever haunt you at night? Are they ever running in your mind thinking, oh my God, I can't forget this when I wake up, I can't forget that when I wake up? And then you wake up and you put down this huge long list of to-dos, and then you sit there and you go, oh my God, I'm never going to get this all done. I am never, ever, ever going to get caught up. Do you know what? Your to-do list should be a contribution. Your to-do lists are a tool, just like a hammer would be if you were a carpenter. Your to-do lists are a tool to assist you to ensure that something that's important to you doesn't get lost in the day-to-day of life. And if you were to only give your to-do list the amount of energy that is really true, that it's there to just assist you, it doesn't have to rule you. One of the really easy things that I love to do with my to-do list is, first of all, my desk will get crazy and I'll have all these papers all over with all these to-do lists all over the place. And then they start screaming at me. And it's like, okay, this is not working for me. I am not having a piece of paper and items that I have to do be like bitch slap me. So I'll take all of those. I'll go through each of them. I'll find out what's still there that I want to continue to work towards. I'll put them down on one piece of paper and I'll get rid of all the other stuff. And even if that takes me a couple of hours to really clean up and give me the space, it gives me the space in my head so I'm coming out of the judgment. What I often find is the to-do list for a lot of people ends up being something they're looking at and it's kind of throwing that judgment back into their face. Another tool with your to-do list that really can contribute to you enjoying what you're doing is actually take a colored highlighter, a color that you really like, and when you complete something, highlight that whole item. So you're focusing on what really you've completed and something that you can celebrate. We are not celebrating enough, and if you find that you're judging yourself, that you're never catching up or you're not good enough, you're missing what you are doing and what you are creating and the places and spaces where you can celebrate. Now, you might be someone who is in a very, very heavy place where you're judging a lot of what's going on in your life and you're not finding places and spaces to celebrate. You know what? You may find that the only thing that you can celebrate is, hey, I got out of bed today. And if that's all you've got to celebrate, please celebrate it. Write it down and say, you know what, Christine, you maybe didn't accomplish all these things that you wanted to, but you did get out of bed. And you did take one more step forward. Do you know what? This is your life. You came here because you chose to come, and you chose to come to create more joy in all that you be and do. You can never be behind in that. But every time you're going into judging yourself that you're not like someone else or you don't have what someone else has, you're going to go into that judgment and that really heavy, heavy energy of not good enough. And whenever you're doing that, I promise you guys, you are going to start to close the walls in around you. And when that begins to occur, you cannot see what else could actually change or what other thing you could choose that would create more ease. Some of the things you might choose is just to watch something funny or to talk to somebody else or to create with someone else. When you're in the judgment, you're locking out the possibilities. Would you be willing to start writing down not just a to-do list, but what I am actually creating that is so much fun for me? When you're actually acknowledging your accomplishments, when you're actually acknowledging the absolute amazingness that you are, even if one of those things are, I smiled at someone I don't know their name, but I was really present with them. Do you know that you can actually have more? Guys, there's so much more around all of this. I would love to hear from you. Please drop me an email, Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. And if you're inclined to come to one of my classes or work with me, I would love to hear from you. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight, and thank you so much for contributing in the world, even if you're in the place of judgment. Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on A2Zen.fm. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by making the choices that bring you all that you desire.